The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of City World Media, LLC, or its affiliates. All shows are produced with full participant consent. City World Media does not claim ownership of any third-party music featured and uses all tracks only with proper permissions or licenses granted by their respective rights holders. City World Media operates in accordance with fair use and digital broadcast guidelines on all platforms. From my city to your world, we are City World. Thank you for watching.
Doc. Yo. Since Cube's attitude been a better dude. Black of the blue, crash or snooze was a mega fool. One shot like a musket, can't cut it like a dagger do. No fun holding a gun, ask the rabbit fool. Deep like a rabbit hole, tatted Nefertiti by the clavicle. Demon rule, up for grabs, attacks at the capital. A stolen land, native like a Navajo. Fight or flight, put on your Nikes like John McEnroe. Bloodstains of Ukraine, Hasapa Hussein. Ooze of blue in my veins, kicking it like Luke Kane. It's not a game, like playing Notre Dame. So behold, he's gold, and I never bought a chain. Word to Quincy Jones, rockin' Sinatra's rain. It's all love though, poppin' the main, it's not a thing. Appeared with the hereafter, when my daughter came. Led her to the better, check the weather, can't stop the rain.
Of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Oh, why not blow up the spot? Blak Madeen.
They terrified of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Oh, why not blow up the spot?
Executive order 13769 sticks in my mind when I'm spitting a rhyme, and the sign on your front lawn makes me wonder about the Muslim band.
Wanna see us going under?
Donald Trump, I acknowledge his tone.
Can I dig?
My catalog is long and every jam is clean. I style with the flow for a decade and changes. Lamophobes wanna put my frame in a cage.
Came in the game
and never made me an animal. We slaughter them, it's food for the poor. Understand me well. The month of Ramadan's fast approaching, so we fast and we pray till the master closes. Now I'm playing Nas in the car for my son. I'm talking about the rapper's bars. The final chapter of the Holy Quran, memorizing verses, not a hip hop song.
They terrified of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Oh, why not blow up the spot? Blak Madeen.
They terrified of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Blow up the spot. Blak Madeen with the short shot.
Put me in the section that's reserved for kings, cause I require the greatest things. I civilize savages. There's no telling what my average is. No measure for original men. I'm for when time begins and life spans. I have original plans for life function. Blak Madeen in conjunction with the one man of thought. Will you answer when caught? Will you martyr for the babies? Sacrificial, the God is official. One of one, I thrive in the sun. Melanated, everything I've created is for cause, and these so-called laws don't adhere to me. What's the mission of being totally free? Let's define. You on your dean, I'm on mine. Peace is the absence of confusion. Outside influence and never cause intrusion. Peace, original man. Peace, black man, woman, and child.
They terrified of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Oh, why not blow up the spot? Blak Madeen.
They terrified of my words, so they censor my rhymes.
Blow up the spot. With the short shot.
Blak Madeen, I got all that CDs on there, maxi-single. I'm gonna make some water, then I can't wait till it run up to the top. Yo, you better look out for the Blak Madeen, that's the name. Look for it.
What's goody, man? It's your buzzing cousin Ghost Boogie. Welcome into another episode of B-Boys Underground. Tonight is a dope episode. I hope you guys are ready for a good one. Tonight on B-Boys Underground, you know, I'm honored to welcome in Al-J and Yusuf. Together, they are known as Blak Madeen. Their story goes back to 2005 when they first crossed paths at the Western Front in Cambridge. Al-J already had years of recording behind him through House of Lords and his solo work. Yusuf was finding his own voice as an MC after coming up around Boston's DJ live music scene. What started as two artists recognizing something in each other grew into nearly 2 decades of music built on lyricism, faith, history, discipline, and a deep respect for hip-hop. Across that run, Blak Madeen has built a catalog with records like Sacred Defense, Supreme Aftermath, Dangerous, Artform, Let the Good Get Even, Amongst the Living Dead, and When All Else Fails. Along the way, they've worked with names including Chuck D, Tragedy, Khadafi, Sadat X, as we just seen, Cormega, Divine Styler, J. Ruth Damager, Ed O.G., Cam, Gift of Gab, Daddy-O, J-Live, and many, many more. Their relationship with Chuck D and SpitSLAM has grown into an important part of their story, with Chuck serving as an executive producer on multiple projects and Blak Madeen becoming part of the larger SpitSLAM family. Now they're moving into their next chapter with Medina to Beantown featuring J-Live, the first single from their forthcoming album. Blak Madeen has always been clear about how they want their music understood. It's hip-hop first. Their faith, their experience, their history, and their perspective all live inside the music, all live inside the music, without limiting what the music is allowed to be. So tonight, it is my privilege and honor to welcome Al-J and Yusuf of Blak Madeen to B-Boys Underground. First up, we got the one and only Al-J. What's goody, man? Tell everybody what's up. How are you, sir?
Maintaining, man. You know what I'm saying? Holding up. Everything's copacetic on these parts right here. You know what I mean? It's your friendly neighborhood brother Al-J from around the way. One half of the team, Blak Madeen. My man Ghost Boogie. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Just want to let y'all know I only got like 20-something minutes of battery life on my phone. So if I like cut out, you know what I'm saying? Then,
Understood.
You know, that means my phone done died.
I got you. Understood. Well, we can keep it going with Yusuf too. So no worries, no problem, fam. And I appreciate you giving us a heads up. So we'll get into it with you also. But next up, we got the one and only Yusuf in the house. What's goody, fam?
Peace, man. Ghost Boogie, B-Boys Underground. This is a spot for real hip-hop discussion, which is rare these days, believe it or not, right?
Man.
So, you know what I mean? But yeah, one half of the group, Blak Madeen. I'm honored to be here, you know, sharing some of our thoughts and our story, and, you know, heads like you are what keep this art form going, right? You know, it's about the real, the love of the art and the history, and you know, shows like yours, you know, we look from. So, you know, happy to be here. Peace.
Appreciate you, fam. So, yo, let's get everybody on the screen, and you know, we gotta hit it. We gotta hit the. Come on in, welcome in, yeah. So, man, it's an honor. So, what we're gonna do is Al-J, and Yusuf. We always say when we start off, I want to know, basically, give us some background on the song and video that we just seen, kind of like, because it's very rare that an artist gets to speak directly to their audience. They may have heard the song a million times, or that might have been the first time they've been exposed to it. But, you know, basically to set the table and add some extra seasoning to what they just experienced and heard. Tell them, you know, a little bit about how that came together, or if there's any, you know, stories or anything like that that you can share about how that song, and you guys picked that song specifically to be the one that you wanted to start the show off with. So please let us know.
Yeah, I figure we give you the best of the best, you know, among like many more. You know, there's a few joints that we could have gave you, you know what I mean? But what came to mind is the absence of confusion with Sadat X. It's definitely you get Boston's finest. Blak Madeen, brand Nubian experience.
Man. Yeah, it's dope, man, to have Sadat X, one of the most recognizable voices
and we've been
in
working
hip-hop.
with Sadat. I mean, like, this is our, maybe our third or fourth track with him. We've been working with him for a grip.
Yes.
So he's kind of like Blak Madeen honorary.
What a dope statement to say, too,
I mean, yeah, like we were talking before we went live, Brand Nubians, one of my favorite groups ever. Like, probably PE, Brand Nubian, close second. But first of all, that joint, that's a C-Doc production. I know you had C-Doc on your show not too long ago. Shout out to him.
Amazing, gifted individual.
We'll talk about, absolutely. And that particular verse that I spit, that's something that I had written a while ago, and C-Doc just provided the perfect backdrop for him. C-Doc is an incredible producer, knows what BPM that we want, knows the feel, and then we knew we wanted somebody on that, and said I always comes correct. And shout out to my man Sando Films for the visuals, because he did a sing on that as well.
It was very dope. Yeah, that was for sure.
But I think that song's a good representation of who we are, because if you look at the callbacks, you got some of the social commentary, you got some of the love for the just the genre of hip hop, just everything kind of all mixed in without being confusing, right? Absence of confusion, right? Like it's a little bit of all these elements, and it comes together, and that one came correct, definitely.
Yeah, man. Dope. I mean, yeah. Very, very dope, dope song. So what we'll do is, Alex, so I know we have limited time with you before the grid goes down. So
unfortunately.
It's all good, man. So here's what we're gonna do. Like, I always like to know first memory of hip hop. So basically, if you could take me back to your first memory of hip hop in Bridgeport before the demos and before like Blak Madeen, put me there. What did you see, hear, feel, and where did Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, and Jerry fit?
Jerry Jer.
Yeah, Jerry fit into your earliest picture and memory of hip hop?
Well, Jerry Jer was a local head. Like, he would, play like videos, rap videos, whether they were from the industry or some local heads from, Bridgeport or whatever. He was known, he was quite a character and a personality, but he was one of my fond memories for the local scene in Connecticut, along with White Flash, Skinny Boys. We could even go down to New Haven with my man Dulio and God bless Steezo. So, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
those are like my hometown CT heroes.
Very dope. Absolutely. Yeah. That's dope, man. What kind of impact did they make on you in regards to basically from when you had that, they made that impression on you? What was it about experiencing that moved you into actually becoming an MC?
Well, the impression that they made on me was like they were from my hometown, like especially the Skinny Boys, you know what I'm saying? They had a few singles, you know what I'm saying? And I know one of their songs played on True Romance, like the movie back in that came out in like 93.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino's first movie.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino written movie, yeah.
Yeah, screenplay.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know what I'm saying, that was cool. I know Steezo had an effect on me because, I know he was like one of EPMD's dancers, and then he rapped. And then, you know what I mean, he had It's My Turn, and then that beat. So it was that. I was surrounded by that. I mean, this was like 89, 90. I didn't start rhyming until like 91.
Okay.
That's when, like, leaders of the new school, Tribe Called Quest, you know what I mean? Me and my man Dan Bino, we used to, like, you know what I mean? Get together, write rhymes, you know what I'm saying? Cut little tapes, little basement tapes and stuff like that. Me, him, and his brother Inky, shout out to him, UDF. You know what I'm saying? So, it was from that. That was my origin, you know what I mean? To me, just who I am today.
Absolutely.
The
And
humble beginnings.
yeah, and and we'll get to Yusuf in a little bit since I'm just trying to get as much time out as I can with
good.
you. So, House of Lords with
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Shout out to Soul Rack, you know what I mean? He's the one that hooked up this like interview and everything.
man, I love the Soul Rack. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
just had a drop. You just had a single drop with Soul Rack like today or yesterday. I was listening.
This is back Friday.
Friday. Okay, yeah.
Next time, yeah. K Major on the beat, it's just me and Soul Rack going back and forth, doing what
Ill
we do. We got a
project.
project coming out, inshallah. I don't want, speak too much on it, but,
Can't wait for that, man. But that song is like you've put out 3 singles this year already, and it's dope on solo. And Kane's been, I guess, producing all of it for you, correct?
Yeah. Kane's been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Whether it be my solos or it be Blak Madeen or it be whatever remix that he's doing for some cats out in the UK or, Kane's mad busy right now. So.
You're keeping them busy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Basically, you and Yusuf met at the Western Front in Cambridge in 2005. He hears you perform, buys one of your solo CDs, and you already share a connection through Ned Welberry and Leeds Entertainment. What did you hear in Yusuf on stage which made this feel different from meeting another MC at the show?
Honestly, I think I tell him this all the time. He reminded me of, like, he had that Pete Nice steez, you know what I'm saying? And plus he had his own style. And, like, Pete Nice on the low is one of my favorite MCs, like, from third base.
Yeah, man. Shout out to
He was
Pete
just walking
Nice.
with the cane, had the hair all slick, walk with the, like, he had the Sherlins, and sometimes walk with the fur and everything. I'm like, yo, it was like that. You know what I mean? That was my guy right there, you know what I mean? So it was like,
Yeah.
Seth had it, had his steez, but he had his own steez along with that, comes with the kufis and everything. So I'm like, all right. And then I heard some of his recordings, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I can get with this cat right here.
That's dope. You had spoken about consistency being one of your answers to the instability of the business, especially marketing and the digital side of music kept changing. But after more than 2 decades of recording, what decision helped you remain an active MC instead of becoming attached to one period of your career?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I didn't want to be stuck in like any time or have any prime because I never had a prime. You know what I'm saying? There was not a time that I had a prime or whatever. It's just I kept going, you know what I mean? You just keep going and, you just be consistent. And, one thing about me, I would do a project and then be on the next, you know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be like, wait a minute, you just recorded all this music, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to go, you know what I mean? Yeah, but, I'm always, like, moving forward, like, forward thinking.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? That's what helped me, like, stay afloat, you know what I mean? And even want to be in the game, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, hell, and your career eventually put you beside artists you once listened to. I mean, you had Cormega, you had Divine Styler, J. Rue, and others. Was there a particular session or moment when you stopped seeing those names only as influences and recognized Blak Madeen had earned a place besides them as peers?
I really never thought about that. I mean, me humbly speaking, I'm still a fan of those cats to this day. You know what I mean? That's just, you know what I mean? Especially Core Mega. I mean, the whole Queensbridge, you know what I mean? Trage, I could keep naming them. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll always be a fan of their music. I'll always be like, you know what I mean? Like in my youth, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's good to get on the track with these cats and, you bring your best, your A game and, you toe to toe with them. It's all good. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but, I'm still a fan of them.
Well, I mean, you can't not, but I mean, it's got to be surreal at some point. I mean, have you ever caught yourself like just, like, man, the young version of you, the kid, and and as you're a man, but you still have that kid inside you where you just at the moment like, I can't believe that this is actually happening right now,
Oh, yeah. Nah, it's like Big said, it's all a dream. It's a dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a dream that I'm living, you know what I mean? That we living, Blak Madeen making it happen.
Yeah, and then also you maintained a separate solo lane with Kane Major, including Black to the Old School and later work, while continuing Blak Madeen. When a beat or idea reaches you, what tells you that this belongs to Al-J alone versus belonging to the collective of Blak Madeen?
Based on the beats and like mainly the rhymes, I'll be like, all right, because I'm always a solo artist at heart, but I'm also, Blak Madeen, that's the foundation. So, you know what I mean? That's home for me, you know what I'm saying? So, I get into my algebra thing, some things that will be deemed, some things I could say that's Blak Madeen appropriate, some things I say that might be Al-J appropriate. So I separate the two,
Is there kind of like a split personality? I don't want to say split personality, but like a different persona that you bring when you do solo work compared to
some would say persona or whatever, but it's more of like I reinvent myself each time,
Gotcha.
Each time I, go before a mic, you know what I'm saying? I just make sure my rhyme's better than the last one. You know what I'm saying? So that's all that is. It's just competing with myself, being better than I was yesterday or better than I was 20 years ago or better than I was when I started.
Fair enough, fam. Fair enough. How's your signal doing? How's your battery at?
It's pretty good. I got 8% left.
That means you got probably about 30 seconds left.
Yeah. 7 now. I got 7 now.
Yeah, it's gonna go fast.
From the rest, so you know what I mean. When it,
So here's what I want. Here's what I want to do. Then I want to make sure that we get some type of final words, and I hope that this will be part 1 of a part 2. Because I'd love to be able to have guys back on when you do your release and everything like that. But is there anything that you want to say to the folks that are out there that are your followers, your fans, your supporters? The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, we want to thank you for all the years that, you've been like behind us, you know what I'm saying? From 2005 on to the present time. We're going to keep giving them Blak Madeen. They don't want nothing less than the best. And that's me and Yusuf. So that's how we're going to do it. Like I always say, we're hip hop. We are the embodiment of hip hop. We are everything of hip hop. So
that's right. Don't put you in a corner and don't put you in a box.
Right. Don't put us in the box. Some tried, you know what I'm saying? But even they know, like, oh, okay. It's bigger than what they perceive us to be.
Absolutely.
So I just say thank you. You guys are not like, you're the supporters. You're like extended fam to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're the reason why, I still, I still keep, my pen game is, I keep my pen game pretty tight.
Keep it sharp.
And right, and the response to the people is who I aim to please.
That's dope, man. Well, hey, fam, I'll let you bounce out so you have just a couple percentage points on your battery in case you have an emergency.
No, it's all good.
But I appreciate
I'll go until
you.
it goes out. You know what I mean? I'll go until it's out. But if you have any more questions, you know what I mean, this will be maybe a good time to ask.
Well, you know, I guess what we could do is from what I always like is going out on from the person who started out, you know, watching the DJs and listening to DJs as a youth to where you are and had all these years in the game and collaborative and, you know, carving your own way and continuing to be independent and underground and making sure people don't put you in a box. To any of the aspiring artists out there or anybody that is even just going through trying to do what it is that they love and their passion, what's been the hardest lesson for you to learn that has been the most important lesson that you needed to learn during this developmental time?
Well, in this development, I could say I'll be lucky if I come out with my shirt on. You know what I mean? All what I put in, I'm not going to get everything back in return. You know, that's just how it is. But I was confronted with the reality and the question. Do you want to still do this? Is your heart in it? Or are you trying to do it for, you know what I mean, something else other than that? And I had to, you know, answer that question. And I was like, no, I'm doing this for the love. I could do this broke, you know. Hey, this is the vehicle that gets me through everyday life. So why would I, you know, put that up on the shelf or try to retire and try to, you know, go about this quote unquote normal life.
Yeah.
I mean, I am hip hop. Like I said, we are hip hop, you know what I mean? So it goes even beyond the music, you know, it's brushing my teeth, how I walk, you know what I'm saying? My whole, you know, the demeanor, like that's hip hop. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more I can say. It's beyond me.
Well, that's dope, man. Well, hey, I really do appreciate you stopping in and making.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Ghost. I'm sorry for the early technical difficulties, man. I wanted to do this bad, so I had to walk. You know what I mean? I'm like 20 minutes away from the rest, but it's all good. It was all worth it.
Hey, fam, I really do appreciate you. We will be having you back on sooner rather than later, and
yes, sir.
Be blessed. And it's been an honor to just be able to chop it up with you this much time that we had.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace
Out, y'all.
All right.
All
right. Peace, world.
Peace.
All
right. So now instead of, I know you sit over there, it's like, all right, man, like my bad. I just didn't want to not have a chance to get an opportunity to have him be able to say what he had while he had the battery life on it. So Yusuf, please, you know, basically, you know, take me back to your first memory of hip hop, you know, and what I want to know is, you know, put me in the environment before you were ever thought seriously about becoming an MC, and you know, what did you see? What did you hear? Who was around you? And what first made hip hop feel personal to you?
I mean, my first experience with it was probably Run DMC, but I can't say that, you know, it started then, but I can, you know, a little bit, you know, much later in life.
Yeah, the ones that made the biggest impact.
The biggest, like the first real hard impact is probably House of Pain and Cypress Hill. And it was mainly the production. It was the hard drums. It was the deep bass line. It's like, this sounds different than anything I've heard. And it just sounds right. And, you know, I guess I always liked words, you know. I always, you know, I was always a reader. I always liked words. But never thought about singing, you know. So rapping, okay, maybe, you know, and you know, it started off just like anybody else, just silly rhymes in high school. But again, it felt like something. Maybe I was just deluding myself, but it felt like something that I could do.
Yeah.
And one of my good high school friends caught up with him a couple years later. I was in college, and he had become a DJ. And at that point, I started, just hanging out with him, and we started going on, local shows in Boston. And this is late '90s, early 2000s. Boston had a really good scene. Guys like Acrobatic and Mr. Liff, they were all rocking, and Rex. So, and now I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing local dudes doing it. And it's like, okay, now you got a little more motivation. And so those are some of the early experiences that, like, the first things that really resonated. And I always go back to that. I always go back to that era. And like, even with this album that we're working on now, Acrobatic is, he's featured on it, and J Live, as you talked about, he's featured on it. These are artists that some of my first experiences listening to underground rap, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so it always goes back to that particular period. But yeah, shortly before that, to answer your original question, it was probably that Soul Assassin sound that really made me fall in love with the music. And then, and I was always the type of dude, I did my history. Like, all the music that came before that maybe I missed, I caught up on it. I had, friends who were, bigger hip hop heads than I would. I'd always bother them. Let me borrow this. Let me borrow that. And I, quickly fell in love with Rakim and all these artists that maybe I missed a little bit. Mr. Chuck, obviously. And just, it snowballed.
I mean, you mentioned one of my favorites of all time, and the very first interview I did for 2026 was Be Real. He blessed me with an interview, and yeah, man, like that. I can't tell you how much that, like, Cypress Hill and that sound and just the mystique of how they came out, and just the entire crew that they did, with Sin Dog and Muggs and Be Real, and then of course, everybody that was a part and is still a part of, like, the Soul Assassins family. You've got Son Doobie, and of course Mellow Man Ace, and just a ton of people that are part of that collective. But Muggs's production work, and you think about it like this, when they first came out, no one even knew where they were from. They were expected to be, and pretty much people assumed that they were a New York hip hop group, because they filmed the first video in New York and all of that stuff. And Muggs had that sound that was close to, but in his own unique way, was on the level of the Bomb Squad, right? And
yes,
the way that he, sampled and put songs together and layered stuff together on that first album, where, had a lot of the noises and sounds, and the way that he would put it together and go in and out of different, transitions and everything like that. And it was just something special. So yeah, we had go ahead, please.
No, what I remember of Cypress that really got me is because this is the '90s, and where I went to high school, you had this. I went to high school with a lot of Spanish kids and a lot of white kids. Spanish kids were into hip hop, white kids were into grunge, but everybody was into Cypress.
Yes,
because their sound, it was street, but it had a little rock to it.
Yep.
A lot of rock to it, actually, and it just appealed to everybody.
Yes.
And and Be Real's pen does not get the credit it deserves.
No.
I think MCs who are part of groups, I think, tend to get overlooked in that whole discussion. I think Tresh from Naughty by Nature kind of similar. People overlook him in their top 10
One of the
lists or whatever.
best to do it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Be Real's pen, even that first album, you go back and you'll look at some of the things that he's doing. It's like, wow, you know.
I mean,
so yeah, I always respected him.
yeah, I mean, think about it like this, you know, one of the stories that he tells is that, you know, when he was trying, you know, to develop his voice and everything when he first started rhyming, he was in his natural voice, his speaking voice, and Muggs told him like, look, that ain't gonna work, and you can just be a writer if you don't figure it out. And that's what made him, you know, kick because I mean, of course, he was, like you said, prolific writer, and ended up, you know, he came up with that, with the high with that high pitched sound that everybody was like, yo, you know, it's just kind of like Sadat X, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's an unmistakable sound, and especially the way and he was approaching everything with the subject matter, it was just amazing. So yeah.
It's a unique style that you can't bite.
No. And you know, they, before the Chronic or before anybody else was really talking about legalization, you know, they were the founding fathers of hip hop in a way of you know, basically legalizing and trying to push forth cannabis as, you know, as, and I can say, you know, I haven't partake in since April 13th of this year, because I've, you know, I avoid opiates, and I've had over 30 surgeries, and I've always used like RSO, Rick Simpson oil, as like an alternative to pain medication. And I'm on a tolerance break, or I plan on just doing an extended break even through this surgery and cancer, and it's just like I want to walk through this period of my life as clear-headed as I can, and being able to stay as present as I can, to enjoy my family and enjoy the time that I have, and not, because it, you know, I too much of anything is not good. So, you know, just getting control of myself again. So that's where I'm at with it. But I can tell you that it absolutely helped me through a really difficult part of my life. And so I definitely think that there is medicinal benefits to the plant, and you know, just don't abuse it. use it.
Yeah, I've never been a smoker, but it's never stopped me from appreciating Cypress, the artistry, and and Soul Sat, House of Pain was also huge too.
Yes.
You know, making me fall in love with hip hop, maybe because I'm of Irish descent.
And then, you know, you speak of House of Pain, and of course Everlast, and you know, someone that you look up to, Divine Style. He you know, you in other interviews have mentioned that Divine was someone that kind of opened your heart up to converting to Islam, and he also, because he was in Rhyme Syndicate, you know, and so was Everlast, you know, helped Everlast convert to Islam as well.
Yeah.
You guys share
it all
that.
goes back. Yeah. I remember House of Pain's third album, Truth Crushed the Earth Shall Rise Again.
Yes.
And that's when he brought Divine on board. He was practically a member of the group at that point. But I remember looking at the liner notes, and all except for the thank yous, it just said Everlast would like to say Allahu Akbar. And I was already interested in Islam at this point. But I knew it's like, you know, maybe I'm just a weirdo because I'm a white kid, and and then as I'm seeing Everlast put that in the liner notes, and I'm trying to like decipher Devon Styler's rhymes, and replaying tracks over and over again. And then I go and I listen to his other work, and it just sparked something inside of my mind, because my heart was already searching for something, and again, we talked about it a little bit prior to the interview. Like, that's the power of this art.
Yes.
It can literally change lives. It sounds cliche. Everybody says that. Listening to so and so changed my life. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's not cap. As the kids say, like, my son's middle name is Mikal, which is Devon Styler's name. Like, that's how much he affected me.
That's dope.
And yeah.
And then you ended up getting a chance to work with him.
Got to work with him.
Did a whole project with him multiple times, but then you even did a whole project with him.
Well, we did a whole project with Trag.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Tragedy, yeah. But we worked with Divine three times. 2 joints he featured on, and 1 joint he produced for us.
Yeah.
And then one time, House of Pain was doing a St. Patrick's Day show in Boston, like a reunion show, and Divine got me backstage or chopping it up with him, and we used to talk on the phone all the time. So he was like, he's the real deal. That's just that's a guy he used to always say in interviews, I don't have the ego for this, talking about hip hop. His no ego, just creativity. If he doesn't feel like doing something, he'll fall back for years and you won't hear from him. And then when he's ready to create, But his third album, Word Power 2, Directrix, which came out in 98, 99, that's the album he recorded after he had made his pilgrimage to Mecca. So that's the album that really set it off for me personally. And I probably took him to say hi to shortly thereafter.
That's dope.
Give him,
the one thing that I also wanted to ask you was, before Blak Madeen, you entered Boston scene through friends doing live shows, and you had and have described your progression from being around the culture to taking emceeing seriously. What happened during those years which made you decide that you belong behind the microphone instead of like just only being around and absorbing the music?
I can say it was just inspired, like, this doesn't, I don't mean this to sound egotistical, but I began to think I got something to say, because, let's be honest, there's a lot of quality MCing where these dudes are still not saying anything.
Yeah.
There's dudes who got crazy pen games and crazy skills, but there's still not a lot of substance sometimes. And I say that with all due respect to, I'm not mentioning their names. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I think I could do that and add a little bit more. And I'm sure every MC feels that way. But at the end of the day, I think it's just doing it was so much fun. I could go back and listen to old tapes and prior CDs or whatever, and feel embarrassed of what I recorded. It doesn't sound any good, but if you ask me, was I having a lot of fun as I was doing it? Hell yeah, and that's and that's just, it's something very important to human beings to have that creative outlet. But yeah, I didn't. Again, also I had some good friends who had positive reinforcement, like, hey, you're getting better,
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, there was no looking back.
I was doom scrolling through the middle of the night the other night when I couldn't sleep, and one when it talks about artists, you know, there was one gentleman that was saying that artists need to be allowed to fail. And what I mean by fail is, you know, not necessarily hit the mark. And then also there was another thing that happened, like another reel I came across when it talked about how many at bats Babe Ruth had, right? Not to bring up like the Yankees and that's something, because I know he's being a Red Sox fan, but you know, they listed at, you know, however many thousands at bats he had, but you know, then they listed how many home runs he had and broke down the percentage, and it was like less than 10% of at bats, you know, total at bats that he hit these home runs. And then another person that they listed was, they talked about Salvador Dali, or not, and no, Picasso. Picasso, you know, painted thousands and thousands of, you know, and you know, art, and he only had like 100 out of, you know, or less than 100, and all of these different things where, you know, it's success takes perseverance, success takes trial, success takes a spirit of not giving up and believing, and then also being a creative. You have to continue to, you know, move on and push forward and believe in yourself, and constantly work on yourself and work on your craft, you know. And if you just sticking around and doing the same thing, then you're really not growing, and there's really, what are you doing, right, if you're not evolving?
Right. And even the word success is something that not everyone's gonna define in the same way. Um, you know, and you talked about painters. You know, I'm not an expert at all on that, but I do know that a lot of those great composers or great up painters from the past, they weren't known till they were dead.
Yes, they
You
weren't
know, when they were
appreciated till they're
living,
dead.
nobody cared what they were doing. Um, so yeah, and there's a I don't know where he got the sample. It was on Rock Marciano's Reloaded album,
Okay.
and he sampled some movie, and it was a girl. She must have been a singer. She was talking. I'm assuming she was talking to her manager, saying, "Do I have any talent, or am I wasting my time?" And the manager says to her, "It's not about talent. It's about you know, whether you have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something in you that telling you that you have to do it, regardless of you might be the most talented, you might have no talent at all, but there's something inside of you saying that you have to do it."
Hmm.
And I had a good discussion with a friend of mine once who actually uh, his pursuing of music caused of problems in his marriage.
Hmm.
And he said to me, he's like, "What my wife doesn't understand is I don't do this because I necessarily want to. I do this because I have to, you know? And that's not pretentious or anything like that. There's just something inside me that has to create. And I think that people who aren't quote unquote creatives, they don't get that. They assume if you're making rap music, you're trying to cake off of it. And if you
Hmm.
haven't done that, then how come you haven't quit yet? And that's just not what any of this was ever about. Some people it is. You know, we talk about the Boston scene. I can think of a lot of guys who were making moves that we used to do shows with who were part of the scene, and then they just vanished. And it's almost as if they gave themselves like, "Oh, I'm going to give myself a 2 or 3 year window to get signed or something. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to go and do something else."
Yeah.
And no, that could be, that's their decision. That's their right.
Hmm.
But it makes you wonder, did they ever love it to begin with?
Yeah.
Or
What were they in?
what were they in it for?
Yeah.
And then maybe they could have been talented. You know, you could be talented at something you don't necessarily love. And you might love something that you don't have any talent. Or, you know, it's, um, you know, it's something that I think about a lot, but it's not something that's ever, you know, just like Al-J, and that's why one of the reasons we get along so well is because it's just something that we don't think about success in those terms. You know, we think about creating. You know, and again, that's not to sound pretentious. That's just facts.
Yeah, man, and that's dope. I mean, it's respectable because you know what I can say is you guys haven't you guys have not compromised at all. You know, throughout everything, throughout your entire catalog, your work, and everything that you have put out, there's you've stayed true to yourself, and you've stayed true to your mission and what it is that you're trying to do. And C-Doc's in the house. What's up, family? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, and make sure you follow.
That's my man.
C-Doc Channel Zero. It's C-Doc again. You know, he'll be on Wednesday night doing it's a C-Doc again show. So make sure you tune in on Channel Zero and everything and support what they do. And of course, that's the home ship for the home channel for Public Enemy and everything that they got going on. And make sure you go get a copy of Rap Central Station magazine, like right now, because the 3rd edition comes with a vinyl, and the vinyl is sick. And then they're working on a 4th one right now, so be on the lookout.
I have a copy downstairs. I wish I had it. I could hold it up, but it's a very good looking publication.
Oh man, it's amazing. I love how they did the artwork as far as, and even the layout where it's the size of a record, and the artwork is amazing. You know, and just I still have all of my, you know, hip hop magazines. I still have all of my sources, double XLs, and Murder Dog. Like I collected anything and everything, all of the rap hip hop magazines, and you know, and I was a magazine guy anyway. You know, this is
back in the day, those print interviews, that's really how you
learned,
really felt connected to the artist, right?
Yeah, man. It was like that was how you found out what was going on, and because there wasn't internet, you know, as my kids say, you were born in the 1900s, and it's like, man, that's cold-blooded when you say it like that. You know, I turned 50 this year, and they call me Unc and all that stuff. I banned that word in the house. I was like, I'm sick of you saying that. Don't you call me Unc no more. Like, you can't say that word no more in the house, man. Like, Unc is dead in the house. Like,
right. But those interviews, and like we talked about Divine Styler earlier, a lot of my, you talked about our mission. Like a lot of my mission was from reading things that he had to say, his opinions, meant that much, and it made that much sense to me. And kind of took it as my own.
Yeah, that's very dope, man. And when you went forward and basically you stepped outside of the group format, and with Rhyme Dawa in 2013, what did making that solo album give you space to express, which worked differently from, writing and recording as one half of Blak Madeen?
Luckily, Blak Madeen gave, the group gives me the platform. Yeah, that's good. Like, I haven't done much solo stuff in a while, and because there hasn't been any need to, I think whatever I need to say, I can do it, through the platform of the group. Any solo stuff I did, like some of the projects that you mentioned, I think it just, for lack of a better term, maybe I could get super religious, and not feel like, and if anybody wanted to come at me and be like, now you're being preachy, well, I'll take that on my own. Like, don't blame the group for that. You can blame me. I think that's what it gave me. But anytime I've ever done solo stuff, especially in that era, it's just because, my pen was active. There was a period of time we were recording a lot of music. And Al-J's still super prolific, and I think, some of those mixtapes, maybe they weren't, even if they weren't the best, they helped us, just get better. It gave us those reps, you know what I mean? But, there's a lot of projects that we did back in those days, like even some of my solo stuff that, since you can't find a lot of that on streaming platforms now. We were able to go back and get those sessions, get those files, and rework them in Blak Madeen joints. For instance, we have a song with Freeway called "Slave of Allah." That was a song I originally recorded just me and Freeway. He's a cool guy, man. He brought me out on stage when he did a show in Boston once, and but obviously we don't want a Freeway verse and a Freeway hook to fall on deaf ears. So C-Doc reworked it and we put it on a Blak Madeen album. There's a few songs like that come from, maybe solo projects that didn't ever really see the light, So again, and I know Chuck D feels the same way. Like, nothing should ever get wasted. If he records something, he's gonna maybe repurpose it, rework it, remix it, especially if you got a guy like C-Doc in the house. So all the, no good idea will ever go to waste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, Freeway special. He's someone, it just, the whole state property, Beans and Freeway, both just, just ill MCs. And I really
want to talk about a unique style.
Yes.
Freeway doesn't get his credit either.
No.
Because if you look at the way he rhymes, and he'll say a word and then he'll go like 4 bars and then rhyme it. It's like, it's poetry. It's not your typical a lot of dudes have the multi-syllabic flow, but he writes like in like poetic stanzas. He doesn't get the credit he deserves as an MC, as a lyricist, and a real humble guy too. I got to be around him. I remember when he did the verse for me. He came to Boston the next day, and he was like, "Do you like it? Is it okay?" Like, real humble. I'm thinking, you serious? Like, you're Freeway. Like, I haven't, like, you just bodied me on my own joint, like, which is what I wanted you to do. He was acting, and then we were talking, and at this point, the Jacka hadn't passed away yet. Jacka was still alive. He's a Bay Area, and for anybody who doesn't know, MC from the Bay Area, also a Muslim, had done a lot of work with Freeway. And I just happened to bring his name up in the conversation, like, yo, I'm feeling the stuff you did with Jacka. He pulls his phone out of his pocket and calls him up and hands me the phone. You know what I mean? Like, that was a cool experience. Shout out to Freeway. And I know he's been through a lot with his health and through family tragedy, and his faith. Alhamdulillah, gets him through it, as well as his artistry. But yeah, that's a song in this. I saw C-Doc said in the comments, like, that's a song that we're very proud of.
As you should be. I mean, it's special to be able to it is a dope track, and C-Doc did his thing with the remix and and redoing it, and it was dope. I've been listening to your guys' catalog for nonstop for about a week, with everything, and getting versed and getting deep and digging, and that one, is definitely one that comes up. It's like, yeah, I like that, but the way he attacks his way he attacks things, like he just, like you said, he's very like the way he structures his bars, but then he has such a delivery that it's ferocious. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's man, it's like he channels
I
this
don't know.
energy.
Yeah, that's the word I was about to say. I don't know where he gets that energy from. Al-J's got it too. Like, I'm just a naturally loud voice, naturally energetic on the mic. I have to like kind of force myself. You know, when I'm in the booth, I'm like, I sound a little sleepy there. Let me do it again a little harder. Like, but some people just naturally have this vibrance on the mic, and Freeway's one of those guys. And he's not a physically big guy either, too. He's but he's just got it vocally.
Nah, man, the way you deliver is very. I love it. Like, it's very smooth, and it just, the way you ride the beat and your cadence and everything like that. Like, don't. I mean, not gassing you up, but like you both of you cats are very ill with your delivery, and you definitely are ill with your delivery, man. And
No, I appreciate it.
especially um, what I appreciate is the fact that the commentary that you guys are talking about, the subject matter that you tackle, and the lack of explicit. You guys are very much someone that I guess would say, lack of profanity. It's like, yeah, I think the the majority of the explicit tracks that get marked as explicit are from features
Yeah,
from
yeah,
from the cats that are featured on the track, whereas you and Al-J, both, convey such a, serious topic and tones, but you are doing it from a standpoint of knowledge and and respect and reverence for what you're saying, and you're using words and using your vocabulary instead of, I guess, and I'm a cusser. I can't help it, it's something I work on daily. And it's sometimes it's just, my vocabulary relates back because that's just the only words that I can think of to say at that moment in that time. So
right.
but you guys are very thoughtful in regards to your pen, and uh making sure that everything that you say and you put down has this quality and intention to it where everybody can listen to it. Like, I can put and play your songs in the car with my kids, and like, okay, this is, because I'm always doing the same thing that I had, that I was exposed to, was like, all right, you see the stuff that's going on in the news, you see the stuff that you're being taught in school. Now let me go ahead and pull you aside and let me go ahead and show you the real. And then they're like, that's not what they told us. And I was like, well, look, here's the books, here's the this, da, 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 da. And it's like, and it challenged. I said, so I was like, you need to think for yourself and not be
Yeah,
programmed.
yeah. I mean, like in terms of the language, I don't want to give anybody any ammunition to you know try to downplay what we're trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Um, I also, it's also a personal thing from, just as a Muslim who, I respect what the scholars have to say when it comes to music.
Mhm.
So I try to follow those guidelines. Um, but it's funny because if you go and you listen to Eric B and Rakim albums, I think Ra might have swore like once, but nobody ever even notices because the music was so dope, his pen was so sharp. But I
Yeah.
think there's like one curse in all those albums. Early Gang Starr, Guru didn't cuss.
Oh,
Guru's another one of my favorite MCs. Rest in peace.
rest in
It's
peace.
past his best. Um, so I just didn't want to give anybody any ammo to say to cut down what we're trying to say. So
Mm.
that's why I've always been, and again, and I'm proud of the fact that we've been able to keep that. Now, if Al Jay wants to say something on like a solo track, I don't, you know,
Mhm.
I don't get all up, all offended or anything like that. But when it comes to Blak Madeen, and like I was telling you earlier, like I teach Sunday school at the mosque,
Yeah.
and I want these, I don't want these parents to think, you know what I mean? I want
Yeah.
to keep these, because I do, I in Shia Islam, poetry is a major part of like, the culture of Shia Islam and the tradition of
Yeah.
Shia Islam. And I'm often asked to recite poetry during special events in the mosque or at different Islamic conventions. And what they call poetry is just me spitting 16s a cappella. And anything that I recite at the mosque is actually just something off of Blak Madeen album. So when I write, like I I have kind of two audiences in mind. The hip hop audience who's going to shows in Cambridge, as well as maybe some of the brothers at the mosque who are going to hear this a cappella. So that kind of affects the way that I write. Um, but yeah, if there's no need, what's the point? And then, because you're going to have to do a radio edit anyhow for certain certain platforms. So save ourselves some time in that regard.
Yeah, man. Like, and you even named one of your albums after the poets, and trying to think of the title of it, because it's
we have a track with Cam, Surah 26.
Yes.
Yeah, Surah 26 in the Quran is known as the poets in English.
Yes. Yes.
And it talks about specifically, this is a beautiful verse of Quran. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns about certain poets in the Quran because they say what they do not do. And however, there are certain poets that do live, what they say. So those are the type of poets that we're aspiring to be. And by the way, Cam's another one who's a huge inspiration.
I mean, I have to tell you, like, of course, one of my favorite MCs definitely has to be Ice Cube. And especially when he went with the Lynch Mob, and Cam, definitely showed up in a big way in Death Certificate and throughout that period, through Lethal Injection and from Predator to Lethal Injection. And Cam, like, definitely, I have nothing but the utmost respect and reverence for Cam, and he's a dope individual, and I love West Coast hip hop. I'm a big fan of West Coast hip hop, but Cam in itself, like, he's dope, man, and he continues. He has a show that he puts on every night, like. He's regularly on YouTube and stuff like that. So, do you still have a connection with him? Do you guys do anything together, or?
We didn't have a connection with. We just kind of reached out to him just out of, like, we didn't have, like, a lot of the features that we've gotten.
Yeah.
We've had connections with them, or maybe they were in Boston for a show and we were able to link up. Cam, we just kind of cold reached out to him on 2 different occasions and told him who we were, and just wanted to do a song with him. But he's another great example of staying consistent to your message, because he hasn't really deviated from the time he dropped his first album, which was like '93.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember. I think it was what's the name of his second album? America.
Man.
The Never Again is his first album. The second one, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Because that was the one that was produced solely by DJ Pooh, and that's like had the disc. Basically, it was a disc. Him and Pooh had at that time some discrepancies with Ice Cube. Yeah, and they went in on that one.
Yeah, he made some incredible G-Funk albums.
Yes.
That if from a hip hop perspective, you could be like, "Yo, this is a perfect West Coast album."
Made in America.
Made in America.
Yes,
Shout
thank
out
you,
to
C-Doc.
Yeah, made in America, except they write it with the 3 Ks.
Yeah.
But again, he's a perfect example. Like, he can make an album where every song's got a strong message, and you can appreciate it. But for the listeners who aren't paying that much attention, they can still love it because the production was like, like incredible, just G-funk era West Coast music. So he's a good example of what an artist can be. For quote unquote message music.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's
But
dope.
yeah. And shout out to K Major, because he produced Server 26, the second song we have with Cam. My man Kane did that.
Gotcha.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to him, man. So basically what I wanted to ask you also, like as we move forward into the current projects that you have in past and SpitSLAM, Medina to Beantown with J Live is officially the first single from your forthcoming album this year. Out of everything that you've been recording, why did that particular record deserve to be introduced as the first off of the next Blak Madeen album?
Honestly, I mean, part of it is just that one was one of the first ones we had ready to go. My man Kane he's great because he's not just a great producer, but he's raring to go too. He wants to get some music out there. He doesn't want to sit on things. So we just had that ready, and we just felt like, let's release something almost like a Lucy, but it will be on the album. J Live came to Boston last summer to do a show. We banged out a video. I don't know if you've seen it. Unfortunately, I was in Turkey with my family at the time of the show, so I wasn't in those scenes, but we made it happen.
Yeah.
And J Live's another one that he bring,
crazy.
He's a Boston MC, but he's got a lot of connections. He's a New York MC, but he's got a lot of connections to Boston.
Yeah.
He kind of brings me back to that good old days, early 2000s, quote unquote backpack era.
Yes.
It means a lot to us.
Yes.
That era means a lot to us. So, and I think that album, that song kind of captures that energy. And J Live's, he's one of those guys who spits something, you're like, I have to maybe rework my verse a little bit before I get on a track with him, because he's that good.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist. When tell us about the album, because I know early on the press releases were saying that it was going to be Q1, that you had, basically intentions and everything like that. But let's talk about the whatever you're able to share and disclose with the album. Let everybody know what they can be looking forward to.
Yeah, the album's called Final Conflict. We were hopeful that it would be earlier, but life happens. You know what I mean? When you're an independent artist, you gotta deal with the setbacks. But we got some joints. We got a lot of C-Dot production, K Major production. We got a joint produced by M-Rock, who I know you've talked to on this platform.
We're going to have CM and M-Rock back tomorrow for an entire album party. We're going to be playing all of the tracks from the album, and they're going to be breaking them down track by track. So y'all tune in. We got something special for y'all tomorrow.
Definitely.
Digital domain.
M-Rock is a incredible boom bap producer.
Yes.
And he actually, the song, he produced the title track, Final Conflict. And the title itself comes from a sample that he himself found. And we also have a German producer who did another joint, which is on the maxi-single. Shout out to SpitSLAM for
look at that. Yeah.
keeping the maxi-singles going.
And I love that that artwork, by the way, too. The merging of, yeah.
Yeah, it's Brooklyn and Boston. That's
Yeah.
the Brooklyn Bridge and the Zachem Bridge.
Yeah.
And that the line that we use for the scratch course comes from a J Live record that he did with Rex. Shout out to Cheese, by the way, who does all the cuts on our
Crazy, man. Like,
yeah,
his cuts are impeccable.
Impeccable. Like let's say I'm posting an Instagram story and I'm gonna add some Blak Madeen music. I'm thinking, all right, should I use a part of it with Al-J's verse or my verse? And I always end up, nah, this scratch course is too nice. I got to like, you don't even hear us rapping. It's like, cause this scratch course, and that's one of my favorite things. You know, shout out to Primo. Listening to Gang Starr made me. I have a notebook full of dope lines that I want somebody to scratch.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't just write rhymes. I write down. I have a notebook full of ideas. Like I'm listening to a Gang Starr track or whatever Rakim. I'm like, oh, anybody scratched that yet? No, okay, we're gonna scratch that. And Cheese can make it happen. I just throw Cheese the ideas, and he makes the tracks. You know. So yeah. So shout out to Cheese. He did the cuts on Medina to Beantown. And that's a funky record. Not every, you know, we got a good. I think the album's got a lot of dark sounds and a lot of, you know, juxtaposed with a lot of more funky sounds. But yeah, I can, you know, we just recorded a joint with Big Shug from Gang Starr.
Man, that's gonna be dope. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, man, you know, he does he raps and he does his crooning thing. We got Acrobatic, another Boston legend on the project. Acro's a dude who's always showed us love, and we never worked together.
Yeah.
So we made it happen. What else we got? We got the J Live joint. We got another song with Akil from Jurassic 5.
Yeah.
I know we've worked with them in the past. We got a new joint with them that I'm very excited about. We got Do Me Right, another SpitSLAM labeled me.
Who we just interviewed a couple weeks ago. Super dope, talented individual. He's a beautiful human too. Yeah.
Yes, that's for sure. We got a joint on there with Tablik from a group called Mass Pike. Who cool story about that. We got a song on the When All Else Fails album called Pray in Arabic, Speak in English.
Yes, I love that album, by the way, too. That album's awesome.
Appreciate it. And again, available on
cassette.
Cassette. If you go to the SpitSLAM Bandcamp, order those. But that line that we use for the hook, I pray in Arabic, speak in English. That's Tablik from 25 years ago. I was outside of the Middle East in Cambridge, Mass, waiting to go see a Planet Asia show. And he comes walking by handing out cassette samplers.
Yeah.
And that was one of the lines of his songs. I pray in Arabic, speak in English. A couple years later, I'm a Muslim myself. And now the line makes even more sense to me. And it resonates even more. Fast forward 20 years, I'm like, I got to find that joint and use that as a hook. And then when the song was completed, I sent it to him. I'm like, you don't know who I am, but I just want to let you know, like, you know, this line that you said 25 years ago means so much to me. I just use it as a hook. And then Small World, he told me, you know, my wife sent me your music recently.
Wow.
Said you guys should, yeah. So, you know, everything worked out and we ended up getting a track. He's actually on the title track that M-Rock produced, Final Conflict. So we're hoping to wrap it up. We also got a joint with the Impossibles. Shout out to C-Doc.
Yeah.
We're waiting for him to send his verses, and then I think we're done. So hopefully, you know, I don't want to put it down. I'm hoping maybe the fall, God willing, but it's coming soon. When you get to that point when you're finally completing a project, feels good.
And you got the sequencing almost done, and you kind of have you have the concept, you have the album and everything. You're just waiting on that one last little thing to click, and then boom, it's out there.
Yeah, and shout out to C-Doc. He does the sequencing. M-Rock actually helped out with some of the sequencing and some of the interludes on the last project. And, that's one of the benefits of being on SpitSLAM. We got a whole team around us who,
All super talented creatives.
yeah, I'm way more talented. I'm humbled to be around these guys, and to be associated with them, because they can take an idea and make it happen.
Yeah, and that's something that, what is it, as someone who grew up listening to, of course, Public Enemy and being around, and I asked Al-J that question, but being able to be on some of these features with some of the folks that you have held in high reverence and regard, what's it like for you, when, like, you mentioned with Freeway, and he sat down and was like, what'd you think of this? And you're like, really? Share me, if you wouldn't mind sharing, like, one of your favorite experiences that you've had to be able to, with one of your favorite artists that you've had a chance to collaborate with.
But before that, I just want to say, like, any artist that we reach out to, it's because we think he's going to fit the track.
Yeah.
We never reach out to anybody just because of the name.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that going around. If you have enough money to throw around, you can get a feature from anybody. We don't have that type of budget. So we're going with people who are like-minded, people who've inspired us. And, I think that's why it works. In terms of experiences, like, one kind of borderline surreal experience was I was in the lab of Tragedy once. And we were in the studio. We banged out an EP together. And he's so prolific. He can do 3 joints in like one session.
Yeah.
But I remember he was sitting there. He had a notebook, he had a pen, doing things the old-fashioned way, beat playing. He's writing a few bars and he's spitting it back to himself. And I'm watching him, and I'm hearing that voice, right? Like, that's that Tragedy voice. I'm watching him do his thing right in front of me, and it's got to be like watching, we were talking about watching batting practice, like at a major league game. Like, it must be like watching, like, you're watching, like, greatness, like, unfold right in front of you.
Yeah.
So that was a cool experience. It's like, wow. And sometimes it's intimidating too. Like, I gotta come correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that was a cool experience. Again, doing things in the lab is always cool, and then emailing files. Not that I'm against emailing files, because that's just the way of the world. But so that was cool. I remember when we did a track with Mega. Mega's one of my favorites.
Yeah, man.
And he banged that out. He got out of the booth because it was a positive song, and he said to my man Leeds, he goes, I got to do more of this. He said that. It's like, I got to do more of, meaning like positive. And I'm not taking credit for it, but if you notice the trajectory of his career, it's all gotten more and more positive and intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool kind of being at the beginning of that. Meg is a cool dude. We've done a lot. He's got a huge fan base in Boston, so he's done a lot of shows, and he always shows love. So that was cool. C-Dog can tell you, Public Enemy came to Boston last year to do a big, huge show called Boston Calling. They always have huge headliners. In the last minute, he's like, Chuck wants to know if you guys want to get on and set off PE's set. So we ended up doing spitting our verses from the song that we're on this album.
And I love it too, because I'm a Led Zeppelin fan too, but that Enemy Radio album is just amazing too anyway. But like them using the Zeppelin on it and yeah. I love the creative on it. And what was that like to be like, I'm on a Chuck D like Public Enemy album, like what was that like for you to get to that point?
It's it's cool as hell. Like you got to appreciate. Oh, we never let ourselves get gassed up too much, but you got to
Yeah.
appreciate moments. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And being able to go to the store and get an album with the Def Jam label and seeing our lyrics in the liner notes and seeing our pictures in the liner notes, it was crazy. Um, and the song we were on, actually, I think Sway played it on his show. Um, and that was a weird experience for me personally because around the time that this came out, my father passed.
Rest
So
in
when he
peace.
came to Boston to do that show, I wasn't gonna, um, C Doc's like, yo, I know you got other things going on, so I know you're not gonna be able to make it, but just so you didn't hear it after the fact, I want to let you know Chuck asked if you guys can come, and I'm like, I can't do it. And then I got home and I talked to my wife, and my wife's like, go do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to hurt anything and you deserve it. So me and Al-J got that opportunity. You can see it on our IG page and rocking
Yeah.
in front of that sea of people. Um, I think Tom Morello from Rage was like standing on the side of the stage watching the whole thing. It was pretty cool. That was a cool experience, man. Shout out to Chuck. The most humble legend that you know, the most humble legend in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and continues to uh basically just, I mean, he turned 66, and happy birthday to him.
Definitely.
And 66 is a dope number. I mean, that's always been the number that I've always rocked with. So I mean, as an athlete, there's a lot of reasons why I use the 66, but yeah, man. It he's just, yeah, he's an extremely talented individual, and someone again that I look up to as a mentor that I've never met, but basically helped make a positive impact in my life, and keep me off of a trajectory that was not good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just the knowledge, and so it's just, I got nothing but love for him, man. So
I say he's got to be the most important MC. People can have their opinion of who's the greatest MC. Those conversations get old, but
yeah,
in terms of just sheer importance, I have Chuck number one.
Yeah.
And the fact that he still loves the music as much as he does, there's something to be said for that. To in top of everything that he's doing, and on top of all the things that he's already accomplished, to still want to, um, operate an album like SpitSLAM just out of his love for that real hip hop. That's you gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Basically, I want to make sure we're doing okay on time. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
How's my audio?
Your audio's great. Everything's good.
Okay.
We're good, solid, and everything like that. I just want to make sure.
No background noise being picked up or anything.
Look, dude, we are totally cool. It's live, and that's why I love doing it live. And in essence of like a classic radio show, and also it's just live. You know what I mean? So.
Right.
It's all good. We don't edit anything out, or it's just, it is what it is. Unless there's some glitches and stuff like that, I'll do some editing. But for the most part, we're good. So Amongst the Living Dead carries recordings connected to people no longer here, and it closes with May 9th and your Malcolm Shabazz dedication. When you assembled that album, how much of the mission involved preserving relationships and voices and history instead of simply putting together like another Blak Madeen album?
That song was recorded shortly. he passed away 2013. Malcolm Shabazz is the grandson of the legendary Malcolm X.
Yes.
And I happen to be friends with his grandson. We knew each other for about 3 years. But that song is the original recording. Like, even though we had it for about 10. I guess it was about 10 years old by the time we put it on the album. We didn't touch it. We didn't rework it. Didn't remix it. Just put out the original. But that was a tough song to write. If anybody knows about young Malcolm passed away under mysterious circumstances, nefarious circumstances, killed in Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico City. But he was a young man who I met in 2010. He was a Shia Muslim, and spoke and did we were at some of the same conferences through the years, and we always stayed in touch. And seeing his life get cut short was difficult for anybody who knew him, because the media always wanted to paint him in another light. Just like they always try to paint his grandfather in another light.
Yep.
So I wanted to do my small part. That's what an artist does, and to write something to kind of showcase his legacy, because he had a lot to offer, for young people. He really did.
Yeah.
So
probably the reason why his voice was silenced.
Absolutely.
And it's sad.
The devil's real.
Yeah.
There's some
evil's real
forces in this world. But it was important to have that song, be out there. So I'm glad we put it on. We didn't try to touch it up or anything, because we recorded it not long after he passed. But it wasn't on any project, so put it on amongst the living dead. And that project was kind of C-Doc's idea, because it was kind of I'm trying to think of which. There's a certain Public Enemy album that had Greatest Misses.
Yeah, Greatest Misses.
Yeah, there was a lot of remixes and B-sides and songs that maybe didn't see the light of day. And that particular Blak Madeen project kind of started off as a Greatest Misses thing.
I got you.
Let's get some of these old joints that we got lying around and give them some light. So
it's dope that you did that, and you paid that tribute and homage, because I know I saw Chuck D interview, and he was like, he had mentioned how he caught a lot of flack for that album, and people didn't receive it well, and I thought it was an amazing album. Like, it's like,
yeah. Even the live, there's a live recording on that. I think they were on they were doing the Pete Rock remix live of
Shut 'Em Down.
Shut 'Em Down, and I think there was like a show in the UK. But I love hearing that, just hearing the audio. I mean, now you can go on YouTube and probably find the actual footage.
Yeah.
But I love that joint.
Yeah, I do too. And I know I pulled this out for you because I know that you said this is one of your favorite Public Enemy songs when I was doing.
That's my favorite PE record.
Yeah.
I can remember vividly walking to work to go.
It's one of mine too.
And hearing like my buddy pull up. I didn't have my license. This kid did. I'm walking to the store to go buy groceries and I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
And then my friend pulled up. He had Give It Up bumping, and it's like that's again real hip hop heads. We remember the things like that. And it's like, yeah, I can remember that moment and fast forward to now and be like, hey, I've done some work with Chuck.
Yeah, man.
That means everything.
Absolutely. And Midget Mike, you are right. There's a lot. I got a lot of favorites, man. So if I don't like it, I don't like it. But if it's, I like it. It's one of my favorites. Damn it, because I do. I can't ever do any like, give me your number one or put your top 10 lists together. It's like, no, I'll give you 10 of my number ones. How about that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right, depending on your mood.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think with the Public Enemy, the one that still gives me like every time that I hear it, and it takes me on a roller coaster ride of emotions and everything was By the Time I Get to Arizona. And even thinking about the message that it had in regards to what was going on in Arizona, where they weren't, wanting to recognize MLK Day and the whole thing with that, and the guitars and the sounds and the sampling and like that noise, it's just like that. Yeah. That it just was like, man, and then the breakdown went and they went into that whole yeah, man, that sonically, they've always been on a whole nother level. And
absolutely. And sonically it still holds up.
Oh my gosh.
But more importantly, the point of what they were trying to convey is never forgotten. Like, because of that joint, we'll always remember that moment in time.
I will.
When Arizona wasn't, you know what I mean? Like,
it pissed me off as a youth. I was like, what the, like, why? Like, why? Like, what, how much of a, like, just a jerk, you know what I mean? Like, to say it, I'm trying to not curse and everything like that, but it's just, like you said, evil exists, it's hate.
Evil exists.
Yeah.
But shout out to Chuck and them for writing the song, so we won't forget.
Nope.
Shining that light on and be like, hey, this is, and but yeah, I love that album too. I remember I think I'm a big boxing fan.
Oh yeah, who's your favorite, or one of your favorites?
Favorite fighters, James Toney.
Oh, James Toney, boy, he was nasty. I grew up watching boxing with my grandfather and stuff. Man, I can remember all of those fights. Yeah.
Yeah, when he fought Mike McCallum, I think it was "Can't Trust It" was his entrance music.
Nice.
From that album. Yeah, 91.
Damn, I don't remember that necessarily, his walkout music on that one, but I mean, Tony was just nasty. I have to say Arturo Gatti, and of course with but him and Mickey, those fights, but Arturo Gatti was one of mine.
Mickey Ward lives like a few miles down the street from us.
Oh, wow. And he's one of the greats. Give him a dap, because I mean, like, such a warrior. One of
the toughest human beings on the planet.
Yeah, man.
I remember the first fight when he knocked Gaddy down with a body shot, and I'm watching with my dad, and I'm like, there's no way he's getting up from that, and he did. Like superhuman toughness.
I'm looking at an Arturo Gatti poster I have up on my wall right now.
Word.
Yeah, and Mike Tyson, of course. Growing up, I'm 50, so there were two Mikes that meant everything to me. It was Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan, and that, like, those out of boxing, and then growing up.
Got knocked out by a guy from Ohio.
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean?
Yes, he did. But
I remember watching it live.
I do too, because I'll tell you, that was a pay-per-view that I begged my mom and dad to get. And I was like, I begged and begged and begged, and was like, I'll even like put some money on it. Like, here's some money that I've worked for, like, just please. And I remember, like, when that happened and he got knocked out, I was like, no. It's like, no. I was heartbroken, but of course Buster, he weathered it, and I think the fact that Mike just didn't. I mean, he caught him at the right. He caught him at the right time. Like, if Mike would have been able to stay focused and have the people in his camp that was around him, and You know, even his ring crew was incompetent. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
how to fix the swollen eye.
yeah,
But
man.
uh, but I remember I was 10, 11 years old watching that. I think because it worked out because my older brother was babysitting some kid, and his parents had HBO or whatever,
Hmm.
so I was able to see it. Normally I would have missed it at that point. And like even as a youngster, I'm like, well, you knew you were watching something memorable, like because you could tell by the tone of voice of the announcers, like
Hmm.
something's going on tonight. Like Mike's not, you
Not
know,
right.
not right, and Buster was on all cylinders because Buster was a guy who was kind of like an underachiever up to that point.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
it
because
was.
he always had the physical abilities. He just didn't put it all together, and then that night he did. So, but yeah, when I think of Ohio, I think of him as well as college football, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, football, football in Ohio is serious, serious stuff. That's all I can tell. I mean, I mean, the amount of fights that would happen just at like high school and middle school, like, you know, like the rivalries are real. Yeah. I can't speak to what it is like anymore because, you know, I haven't lived there in 12 plus years, but yeah, man, like football's everything in Ohio. That's why the Hall of Fame's there, you know, and hopefully my Bengals do well this year. So it's difficult. I just hope we get one championship before I leave. I just want to see it. Like
What do you guys? 2 Super Bowls you went to, right?
3. We went through 3.
Oh, you lost twice to the Niners, right?
Yeah, in 81,
Yeah.
80, 81. And then I remember crying as a little kid on that one. And then I was in middle school when they went to the second Super Bowl. And then,
Esiason, right?
yeah, with Boomer and Icky and all of that. If Crumb Rye wouldn't have broken his leg the way it was, Joe was done. They wouldn't have had that drive. It was
I
over. It was a
remember
wrap.
watching it. That was a grotesque thing to
Yeah,
see on TV.
and it
I've never
broke the
seen that.
team. It broke
Yeah.
because Crumb Rye was like, he was the engine. He was the team's like guy. You know what I mean? Especially on defense. But yeah, that was devastating. And then when they played LA, you know, my son, they inherited, and he inherited all my favorite teams, of course. And I you know, having to console him and console myself at the same time. And I just was like, son, this is what being a Bengals fan's for. I said, you just gotta. I said, I know exactly everything that you're feeling right now. I'm feeling it too, but I know exactly what it is like for you to feel it, because we actually they played out here in Denver that year, and I was able to get ADA seating on uh, the very lower bowl, and it was behind the Bengals bench, and he got to toss ball with Joe Mixon because he was, you know, I got down early, and as soon as gates opened, we went in and was down at the rail, and Mixon came back and was throwing ball with him, and he got a towel, like a Gatorade towel from the bench, like one of the equipment people threw it up a towel to him, and and we won. We beat the Broncos, and that was the year that we ended up going to the Super Bowl. So it was all this momentum and energy, and you know, it was something special, and for him to have to go through that, I was like, I know exactly what you're going through, man. Like, it was
up until 2004. That's what being a Red Sox fan was. Just
I know, like
heartbreak, and hearing about the heartbreak from your dad and your grandfather.
Yeah.
And falling in love with teams that didn't even win anything.
Yep.
Like, people love certain teams. It's like, well, they didn't win. Like, Well,
Yep.
they almost did. Okay. You know, like,
Yep.
you know, now, you know, Boston sports fans got spoiled. But that's how being a Sox fan was at one point. So I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yep. I mean, it is what it is when everybody any type tries to talk smack about, you know, it's like, oh, Bengals. It's like, look, man, we haven't won anything. So why are you dragging me? It's not like I'm a bandwagon fan like you are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to like your team. You know what I mean? So, but, you know, in wrapping it up, you know, basically what I wanted to say is that, you know, you continue to release the maxi singles and remixes, instrumentals, alternate versions, and DJ cuts from teaching on and taking you to school through Surah 26 and now Medina to Beantown. What is preserving the maxi single format important to you in 2026, especially when most streaming releases have moved away from giving DJs those versions and everything like that, where you have, and even fans too, like, you know, listeners and supporters, it's instead of you just have a single and that's it. Now you guys put out an entire thing. Plus you have cassettes, vinyl, you have CDs, you have all of the different formats. It makes it feel special to me, at least.
I think that's the point of it. I think that's you know, shout out to C-Doc because he's the one who comes up with the ideas, and you know, he'll blow me away. Like I know the River to the Sea remix that he did. But for me personally, I remember
That's sick too.
Like we talked about House of Pain earlier. I remember going to the store to buy and seeing like a Shamrocks and Shenanigans maxi single, and it would have all kinds of crazy remixes. And then an instrumental, so you can throw that on and rap to it. Those are some of your earliest memories, right? Of rhyming, just rhyming over other people's instrumentals that you would find on those type of things. And then realizing, wait a minute, you know, I love a remix more than I love the original. You know, so, you know, that's part of being like a hip hop nerd, you know. And I think that's why C-Doc does it. That's why SpitSLAM does it. Give the fans something that they like, the listeners something special. You know, and I think there's a lot of people are noticing that too. I keep reading that CD sales went up recently.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a reason for that. You know, people want to have, you know, if you really love an artist, you want to have something to hold. You know, like opening up a tape, reading the liner notes and reading the lyrics.
You're holding it while you're listening it.
You're holding it and you're trying to read like who wrote it, who produced it. You're trying to figure out like, because when the writing credits would have the actual government name of the MC. So you're trying to figure out, wait, who's who? That's his real name?
Who's who? Yes.
Right. And then
yes.
And then you read like contains a sample of yada yada yada. And it's like, all right, well, let me go back and see if I can find that sample, you know, just for my own personal, not that I'm going to do anything with it, but I just want to hear what the original record sounded like. You know, the liner notes were, you know,
everything.
That was meaningful. And I understand the younger generation, they don't see it that way, and that's fine. But, you know, I
don't think they just haven't been exposed to it or hadn't had opportunity. It's it's a generational thing where
right, yeah, you can't. I'm not mad at him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I know like C-Doc knows like the people who are probably checking out anything SpitSLAM related are of a certain age, and they will enjoy that. You know, so I'm glad he does it. You know, and again, it's nowadays, and even if you want to talk, you know, modern time and digital, you always want to have quote unquote content. So if you have a dope remix or you have some new product to push, you know, that's only a plus. So I'm glad he does it. You know, Medina, you know, sometimes you don't get, as we talked about, you don't get the album done when you think you're gonna, but if you have a maxi single or something to push, you know, it makes you feel, you know, like you're not falling behind or anything like that. So, you know.
But that's old school too. I mean, you would work your singles, and then on those singles, you would get things that you wouldn't get on the album. So if you didn't buy the single, you missed out, right?
Absolutely. And even we talked about
Like this
the
12-inch. Like
12
you don't get the live and undrugged part 2 version. You don't get Give It Up Dirty Drums in Memphis mix, and you don't get Bedlam, the 13-minute version of Bedlam. So like you had to get the singles to get things like that.
Right. And you get those instrumentals that you can rhyme on, throw them on a mixtape. And just looking at the artwork, different artwork than the album, you appreciate that. Gives you something to read. Again, it's not everyone's gonna relate, but I think C-Doc and SpitSLAM, they put it out for the people who do.
It's nostalgic as hell, and it's amazing to be able to have a label that's continuing on with the tradition, and keeping it true to the art form, and the way, like you said, at the end of the day, especially the group's mission is to be like, look, don't put us in a box. We're hip hop, and we're true hip hop, and we're true hip hop. I do have to ask a question. I just saw Jim Alexander, who is an ill MC, and we had him on just recently, and he'll be back on again. He's got an album or a single out with self-titled and oh my gosh, self-titled and Apathy. I'm sorry. He had a question. He said he wants to know, who do you think would win between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, both in their primes?
When you say their primes, it's tough because, Tyson in his prime, I won't even get into I go with Ali. At the end of the day, in their prime or even a little bit past their primes, I go with Ali because Ali's been knocked down and got up and won fights. Ali's had his jaw broken against Ken Norton, finished the fight. Ali showed that he can get in the fire and come out of it. Iron Mike hasn't showed that too many times, to be honest with you. Got knocked out by Douglas, got knocked out by Holyfield. Seems like he knew in the rematch with Holyfield that it might happen again. They ended up biting him. There's not a whole lot of evidence. Just Ali's come from behind, just weathered the storm way more.
He took
often
people
than
into
Tyson.
deep water.
And for that reason, I go with Ali.
And I've seen Mike, because I love Mike Tyson, and especially I love the fact that Mike Tyson is and has transformed and is at peace and such a happy living, such a it seems like from the outside at least, a peaceful and enjoying his life now, and has got peace now, and I'm happy about that.
There's a period of time where you might have thought he wasn't gonna be around. Something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he was
self-destructive. To see him now as like a loved individual is kind of it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's great. I'm so happy for him. But even Mike Tyson would say that Ali, because he answered, someone asked him that question, and he said, there's no way that he would beat Ali, because he holds Muhammad Ali to such a high reverence, and and that's why he did Spinks the way he did him, because Ali got into his ear, like when he was getting ready to fight, he was like, get him for me, and he tells the story about when he saw Spinks do that, beat up Ali the way he did, and he went home with Cuss and was, crying, and was very
Holmes, right? Larry Holmes?
Was it? No, I think it was Spinks, was it?
Because Holmes beat Ali. Spinks' brother Leon beat Ali. Michael, though, is the one who Tyson fought.
Got it. Yes, it was Holmes. Yes, my bad.
But it was Holmes. Yeah.
Yes.
But again, and looking back on it, that might have been one of Tyson's best wins because even after he lost to Tyson, Holmes went on and still was fighting well into his 40s.
Yeah.
So to see, but the way Tyson went through him, that was one of his most impressive wins. Another one, I think, another impressive Tyson performance was his fights against Razor Ruddock.
Oh yeah.
Because Ruddock could bang.
Yes.
Ruddock was hitting him with some hard shots, and Tyson stood there, and he didn't overwhelm Ruddock, but he went back and forth, and it was a gut check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love boxing, man.
I do too. It's good. It's great stuff. And I got my son watching that too. And, he's, so I have twins, one boy, one girl, and they're freshmen this year. So I'm going through like this crisis of, I turned 50, and then, this month, is my 20th anniversary of, my marriage with my wife. And it's like all these milestones, but like when I realized I have freshmen now, I'm like, man, it's like time just has gone by so fast, but it's just like a reality check. It's like, whoa, y'all are in high school now, and it's getting ready to go even faster, So it's like just, again, one of the reasons why I just want to be present and enjoy. And I think, it's all things considered with what's going on, having this and being able to, connect with artists like yourself and have conversations, because I've always connected. It doesn't matter I always go and talk to strangers, and I've conducted business meetings with CEOs, and the very first things I always talk about and relate with, I sit and talk about music. And it doesn't matter, like, what kind of music do you like? Who do you listen to? Why? And if it's something I don't know about, tell me, because I love music. And being able to do this with someone such as yourself, and it's just, it's a blessing and an honor, and I thank you. The one thing before I ask the final question was, in my research and getting, and to tie it back to the children, and you working closely with youth. And again, I think that is something that is one of the most rewarding things that anybody can do, is to work with youth and be there and mentor them, and especially in a capacity such as yourself, spiritually guiding youth, and the fact that you make a conscious effort to make sure that your public persona matches and fits and is in line with your personal persona. You are you. And but doing my research, I came across the 777 rule with Islam, about, it was something where you love them for 7 years, you discipline them for 7 years, and then you basically befriend them for 7 years. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, or correct me on my thing, on what I'm trying to communicate?
That's a hadith of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A hadith meaning is one of his sayings, so that's not necessarily in the Quran.
Gotcha. Okay.
And again, sometimes the word 7, the number 7, is used like in a generic sense. It doesn't necessarily mean 7 on the dot, but
gotcha.
But yeah, I think one thing that we often forget, but we quickly realize when our kids get older, as you talked about your daughters, your son being in high school now, I got a daughter as a junior. You realize that as much as they are our kids, they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're their own people.
Yeah.
They were created by God. And we do the best we can. There's a saying from Imam Ali, alayhi salam. Imam Ali is the successor to the Prophet.
Okay.
It was his cousin. So he's the first of there's 12 Imams who come after the Prophet. He's the first. And he said that to remember that don't expect, like, I can't quote it verbatim and I don't want to mess it up. But he's reminding his people, his followers, your children were created for a different time. So don't expect them to be exactly, this is a beautiful saying too. Like you can Google it. Don't expect them to be exactly like you. They were created for a different time. It's important to remember, right? And we're talking even
Wow.
even in the course of this discussion, we talk about how times change, right?
Yeah.
Our kids value different things.
Yeah.
But all you can give them is those universal values, those core values. And I've worked with kids in group homes for 10 years, and now it's rewarding yet strenuous. And and I teach Muslim kids at the mosque, and you would learn more from teaching. Some of the basics that you're trying to teach them. It's like, wait a minute, I'm learning. I think I might be the one learning.
Yeah, that part for real. I have. It's been, yes, absolutely.
It's like some of these basic things that maybe we take for granted or maybe we even forgot. So the best way to teach ourselves is to teach others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and just realize what a blessing that they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And if you for anybody that's ever gone through anything, it's your responsibility to share the things that you've gone through, and because it's a beautiful experience, and like, but if you face adversity, it's your responsibility to share the adversity to get through. And if you go through something and you don't share it with someone and share that wisdom, then what are you doing? You went through it for nothing, right? Because you learned something from going through that experience, hopefully. Right. If you're wise enough, right? You should be able to share that, especially with your youth. So in the final question, after nearly 2 decades of building Blak Madeen through faith, friendship, loss, growth, hip-hop, when the music is no longer the first thing people remember, what do you hope your work taught people about how to live, how to stand on principle, and how to leave something meaningful behind?
I mean, in terms of the how-to, I think we're figuring that out. But you don't stop. I think that's the lesson. You don't stop. We never stopped. We never, and again, I'm not trying to big myself up like I'm infallible, because obviously I'm not. But you keep to your mission and you don't forget it. And you just keep going. Like you talked about being present. I think music helps you remain present.
Yes.
Because as long as you're creating something, you're alive. Music is amazing because you can listen to an old song and travel back in time. But when you're creating something new, you're alive. There's a famous writer. He was the leader of Bosnia. His name is Alija Izetbegovic. He passed away. He was the leader of Bosnia during those wars in the 90s when Yugoslavia broke up. Yeah. He was a great thinker, a great Muslim thinker. And he said that there's really only 2 things that separate humans from the animals or from the cavemen. One of them is our faith, our ability to follow a religion. And the other one is art. Those are the 2 things that make us human. Other than that, going to the bathroom, eating, sleeping, copulating, or,
instinct. Yeah.
Instinct, 100% instinct. Animals are doing it. Apes are doing it.
Yeah.
But religion and art, that's what makes us human. And I remember reading that thinking, all right, maybe I'm on the right track. Maybe,
Absolutely.
There's some people who may be short-sighted who might think that there's a contradiction between being a Muslim and being an artist or being a rapper or blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. Not if you give it a little thought. Everything, they're deeply combined. You know, they're
Yes.
deeply interrelated. And I think if there's one thing that they can remember us by, it's that. You know, you know. So hopefully we're doing our thing correctly, and history will judge. You know what I mean?
Well, I can tell you that you guys are. I have thoroughly enjoyed doing the research and getting up to speed on everything. And then also, I can tell you that your journey and also the group's journey and message. Actually, I'm having my surgery this Saturday for my cancer, and it's one of those things where they told me that I could possibly have a tracheotomy and lose my voice for a while, and some like all of the things that could go wrong. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I have faith in it, and it's going to be fine. But it's still one of those things, and I can tell you that listening to your music, doing my research, and just getting the chance to talk to you, I feel peace, and you have brought me peace. And this conversation has been one that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I've appreciated your candor and just your spirit, and I thank you for agreeing to come on my platform and talk about this. And I hope that you will bless me again with when the album's ready and it's ready to come out. Let's do a listening party, just like we're getting ready to do a listening party tomorrow with CM and M Rock. We're going to be doing Digital Domain. We're going to be going through it track by track. Y'all going to be listening to it and hearing him with the artists. And then on Thursday, yes, this Thursday, we've got, oh my gosh, and I had it right, what? Amateur hour right now. Jeez.
Good.
It just.
But while you're searching for that, I just want to say, may Allah grant you a successful surgery and give your family the patience, and inshallah you'll be ready to go afterwards. And I thank you again for having us and letting us. You're providing a valuable platform.
Well,
you
I
could be
thank
using
you.
this stuff to sell products or whatever, but you're using it for positivity, and may God reward you for that. And I appreciate you having us.
Well, thank you, man.
Shout out to everybody in the comments. I haven't read everyone, but all the people out there.
It's hard to keep up with the comments. But we have a super dope guest on Thursday. He's a reggae artist, and I don't know why my calendar's not showing his name. And I apologize. I know Soul Rack's going to get me, but we've got a dope episode coming up for you this Thursday. So Tuesday and Thursday, same B-Boy time, same B-Boy channel. Got any shout outs before we roll out?
Want to shout out my homie Leeds. I mentioned him earlier. Leeds Edutainment was the platform that really gave Blak Madeen our foot in the game, and he's still providing those opportunities, and he's held it down for a lot of dudes in Boston. So shout out to him. You should get him on your show at one point.
I can't wait. He's so my research, doing my research. I was like, yes, I got to get, and I listened to his album too, like his compilation that he put out. It's so dope.
Yeah. He's a good friend of mine. And, again, somebody that inspires you to keep moving, because he knows this journey all too well. So shout out to him. Shout out to my man Al-J. Sorry, he had to dip early. My man C-Doc, Mr. Chuck, SpitSLAM, my wife and kids in the other room waiting for me to shut up. You know what I mean? So
thank them for their time and giving you, giving your time, allowing you to have your time with us.
Will do. I'll thank him for you.
Yeah. Well, hey, man. So as we always say, keep it positive, keep pushing, keep persevering, stay in the present, not in the past. Just learn from it. Don't let it kick your ass, and don't trip on tomorrow. I've died twice, And both times I woke up and ride the lightning back like Thor. They said, welcome back, Mr. Boogie. All I thought about was my wife and children and how happy I was to actually be alive. And so don't trip. All you have is right here, right now, and make the best of it and be the best you that you can possibly be under whatever circumstances that you've got. And if you trip and fall, just pick yourself back up. There's always a new day.
There you go.
With that, we are out, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. CM and M Rock is going to be in the house for Digital Domain. Can't wait for that one. Rallo.
Peace.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, follow. From my city to your world. We are City World.